screen. Okay. How are we doing? Oh, it started so well. I'm wearing vinyl this evening, by the way, just in case you're wondering. I would just wait for my wonderful technician to tell me. No. And then we can start because I've waited a little bit too long for this. A lot better. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. Anyway, good evening. Welcome. I guess we ought to open the phone line, so let me tell you what they are for this evening. If you're in the UK, it's 0800 058 4204. Australia Freephone 1800 959 819. New Zealand 800 441 607. I think I've missed out the USA. Australia Freephone, yeah, 1800 959 819. We are opening a store. So look, what we found over the last few years, months, is that it's really difficult to get a full range of magnificence coming out of Australia and New Zealand. We have fixed that, and the USA, because we are very happy to be partnering with some amazing women, and each of them has their own story about being targeted by this pernicious cult and having their livelihoods impacted. And now we're really happy to be able to help those individual women, but more than that, help ourselves and help you. So if you want to call, it is from Australia, 1800 959 819. From New Zealand, it's 800 441 607. I seem to have lost the USA number, or do I just keep missing it? Maybe you're first. Anyway. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Am I on live, really?
You are, yes.
Oh, wow.
Good evening.
Fantastic. I absolutely adore what you're doing, and you're making such a huge impact on the world on a grand scale. Unfortunately, I've been rendered invisible in your chat. I go by Dragon Kiddigan,
Oh,
and
I think I'm the only person that can unblock you, apparently, but I haven't blocked you, and I can't find out how to unblock you, Dragon.
maybe the last time I called you, you repeated back my name, but it wasn't. You spelt it differently, so maybe that's what it is. Let me
Yes.
repeat it.
Go on,
one more
because I've
time.
got a lovely
Okay.
technician listening right now, and she might be able to do whatever it is that needs doing right now.
Okay. So it's one word, Dragon Kiddigan. So it's capital DRAGON, capital KITIGAN.
Right, my
Dragon
technical
Kiddigan.
wonderful woman might be able to find out how this happened, because the two moderators haven't done it either, and they
Yeah.
can't undo whatever's been done. But I certainly don't remember blocking you, and I
I
can't
know
find out how
it's
to do
very
it.
weird.
And
It's very weird. Like I can see my own text, but nobody else can. And
oh,
you're the only chat that this has happened
it's pretty much
to
our
me
fault,
to.
but we just don't know how we've done it. So
Oh.
I'm so sorry, but we will try and
Oh,
amend it and sort it out. So I'm so sorry about that.
it's unfortunate because I love chatting with the chatters in your group. They're such a wide range of wonderful women with fabulous ideas. I want to, speaking of ideas, I have been harassed going into shops about donating a little bit of extra change to these captured charities. One of them happens to be one of my favorite places. I used to adore this place, Women's College Hospital. They have recently set up a clinic that is totally devoted to repairing vaginoplasties, which I don't even like calling them that because they're not even vaginoplasties.
Yeah, what are
They're
they?
inverted. They're inverted.
Rotting male flesh.
Yeah, male flesh. They're what I like to call the go F yourself surgeries. The surgical synonym for go F yourself. So 60% of these surgeries go so badly that now they have to beg us for money for this special clinic for Women's College Hospital. On top of that, I cannot call a hotline anywhere in Canada and talk about my distress about being sexually assaulted on 2 different occasions in the place where they just want to pee. A hotline I used to rely on 20 years ago to talk about this very subject. And I called them a year ago, last fall, and a troon answered the phone. And I said, I thought this was a hotline for women. And he said, it is. And I said, well, no, thank you. I want to speak to a woman. And I hung up. The following year, it's usually a bad time of year. I know when my bad times come. So I rely mainly on talking to people anonymously because the subject matter is so awful that I don't want to see the woman's face. I want to be able to tell my story without upsetting her so much, right?
Yeah.
And I know these stories are wank material for these men. And so I refuse. I will not. So the following year I called and I asked, may I speak with a woman? And they said, well, we're all women here. And I said, an adult human female. She hung up on me.
It's just such a mind poison, isn't it? I mean, I'm so sorry to hear that that you've been
And I'm an
assaulted twice,
adult.
but
I'm an adult, and I think about these young teens, these girls. I couldn't have handled that at their age. I'm an older woman. I know when I'm having a hard time, but what about these young girls? I relied on that hotline. It was called the Assaulted Women's Helpline.
But also there's numerous girls now who are being coerced and sexually assaulted by men who call themselves women who can't even say that they've been assaulted, let alone phone a line.
Exactly.
It's just disgusting. And I'm really sorry it's happened to you and your support has vanished, basically, has been co-opted and taken over for, you put it better than I did, but I think we all know that men that dress as women can be sexually aroused by rape fantasy and rape stories and rape experience of women. And we know that even some that are famous who get to speak on behalf of the Democrats in the United States of America talk about the ultimate affirmation of being female is being raped. So I think
it's horrendous.
it's just
And I
gross.
I no longer believe that homosexual transsexuals are immune from the AGP because it's a male fetish. So just because they're gay, I think that there's a cohort of gay men who absolutely, they are the most misogynistic men on the planet. That's not all gay, hashtag not all gay men. But there is a cohort that absolutely hate women. And I believe they also have AGP as well. Not all of them, but
well, fish comes
there
from
is
gay men, doesn't it? Fish comes from sort of
yeah,
drag
fish
and gay men.
Yeah, I've always hated drag queen stuff. I became a drag king just to clap back at them, and yeah,
Well,
made my
thank
point
you.
that way.
Well, look, I've had news from the technician. Apparently, she knows exactly how to do it, but she doesn't have
Oh,
access. So when this,
okay.
I can't do it midstream, but
Yep.
when this is over, I'll do a Zoom with her, and she can talk me through exactly how I can unblock you.
All right.
And I don't even know if you are blocked, but if you are, I can certainly let you know. But thank you as always for your call, and I'm so sorry you can't join the chat because
That's
by
all
the
right.
looks of it, you're very missed. But we'll
Party
do
for
our
women.
best.
Party for women in Canada, please, please. Party
Absolutely,
for women
you
in
can
Canada.
run. Yeah, you're more than
Party for women
welcome.
in Canada. We have nothing here. There's no one to vote for here.
World
Party for
domination
women.
is coming. I promise. I absolutely promise. We are. It's going to be everywhere. Look, the Green Party is everywhere. Party of Women is going to be everywhere, except we're actually going to get more seats.
Pow.
Yes.
Yep.
Love to you.
I love it.
Cheers. Bye. Hello. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Tuesday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi, yeah. My name's Paul. I'm from Oxfordshire. Sorry, there's a slight delay on the live stream on my TV. So
There certainly is.
yeah.
Hi, Paul. What would you like to
How are you
say?
doing?
Yes, I'm good.
I just wanted to ring up to say, first of all, thank you very much for everything you do. I'm really pleased. I actually attended a couple of your Let Women Speak. I was there last Sunday. I was also there on Easter Sunday. So I'm really pleased. And the reason why is, my wife is disabled. She's currently in a nursing home and she requires intimate care. And when we look at, men identifying as women to deal with their intimate care, obviously that's a big no. So we seem to be up against a real big fight and being called names when simply we're just putting forward, reasonable requests, as it were. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for all your efforts.
Did I meet you briefly on Sunday?
You did.
I did.
I did. I shook your hand. Yes, and I followed you to the pub. In fact,
Well,
but I didn't speak to you in the pub. So,
and let me ask then: when you're asking for care for your wife, who is it that you're asking, and who is giving you pushback and making you feel like it's an unreasonable request?
It's the problem is there's a shortage of carers, so it comes from agency workers, and they're mostly immigrants that have come in. The indigenous workers have left to go to work for Tesco to get more pay, and most of them are men, and they have a shortage of women. And so what my wife has ended up having to do is that she has men come in to change her, but she requests that a woman comes in and stands in and watch and make sure everything's all right.
Jesus Christ.
And it's an unsatisfactory state of affairs, to be honest. But what I really worry about is the gender recognition bill in Scotland, which meant that legally, if men identify as women, then my wife can't object to that. That's the bit that scares me.
God, I'm not surprised. So what do you think, like, by the sounds of it, I mean, everybody went out and clapped for carers, and apparently they're not worth more money per hour than a supermarket worker, which kind of makes me think that the clapping was all
25p an hour. They're worth more in Tesco's, as I understand it, where I live.
And then obviously you've also got the fact that people, certainly women or carers that go from one home to another, they're not paid for the travel time, so their day is absolutely disgusting. And I think
and you, Les, would make that worse with £12.50 a day when they have to travel in, when the expansion comes in as well.
And they're not covered.
Another shortage as well. So I went to Kathleen Stock's lecture on Tuesday. I didn't actually get in because I was there a bit late, so it was absolutely full. But the protesters there were actually not too bad, but the ones you attract seem to be a lot more belligerent for some reason.
Well, it's my milkshake. They're purposeless people. I think the people that come. I mean, who wants to give up their Sunday like giving up your Sunday to come and listen to women speak because you feel gaslit, or in your situation because you're worried about your wife and you recognize that this is a grassroots movement and actually it's just so much fun. But that's one thing. But going to stand around and shout at women, predominantly middle-aged women who want to speak, I just think at that age, like in my 20s, I just had better things to do. Certainly on a
can't
Sunday.
understand, why they shout Nancy scum at women who are just talking about very personal issues,
I know.
like miscarriages or being bullied or.
Well, they're not
whatever.
listening. They don't listen. I think that's the thing. They're not there to listen. They're there to stop us speaking. But look, Party of Women.
The positive thing is your movement has grown, and so has this movement, and I think it actually will have an impact on the next election.
Yeah.
And it was really revealing that Sunak gave a message to Kathleen Stock, but the other two leaders, Dharma and Davey, stayed silent.
Yeah.
And I think when you go into an election, you can't answer a simple biological question. And quite frankly, how can we trust them in the nuclear codes?
Oh God, absolutely. Why would we? Like, would I trust them not to conscript my kids and send them to war? They can't. They can't be trusted for anything. But what we will do as Party of Women, right? What I intend to do as Party of Women. One of the things that I want to do, repeal the GRA, is to Sorry, I've just got a text about cider in the middle of my live stream. And the other thing is to have a Women's Act. And I think that would be really important, and to actually include the law or some sort of statutory guidance that meant a woman with disabilities who required any sort of care, or a woman who's at all incapacitated temporarily or permanently, would be entitled to female-only care. And then what we would have to do, what the government would have to do, what we would have to do as a country, is pay people enough that they want to do it. Because I think more women would feel, if they weren't plunged into poverty by being carers, I actually do think it's a really rewarding job. And when my grandmother was in a nursing home, the staff there, and I live next door to adult autism residential care, and those people are just, honestly, they're just phenomenal, wonderful people who really care about their job. And if we really cared about the job that they were doing, we as a country would think that they were worth paying more than someone in Aldi or Tesco's. So thank you so much for your call, and I wish you all the very best.
No problem. No, and thank you once again, and keep going.
You're very welcome.
All the way.
Cheers, Paul. Bye-bye.
No worries. Cheers, Kelly.
Bye. Okay, I better do some super chat. So, Malign Flower with your super chat, $53. Thank you so very much. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello, Kelly.
Hello.
I thought that was going to be the answering machine message.
No, it is I.
Really, hi. Yeah, I'm really calling because certain things that I keep ranting about out loud or just pissing me off. I wanted to sort of just focus on a couple of them. And actually, one of the last callers, the woman who spoke about, gays and AGP and stuff, I thought that was brilliant what she was saying, and that's kind of part of it as well. And yeah, just when you've gone on and on about feminism and for such a long time, right? And then especially to like a friend, someone who you really thought was like super close to you for years and years, like 20 plus friendship, and one day you realize all the stuff that you've been saying, you're sitting like on a sofa and you're trying to explain to your friends why puberty blockers is bad.
Yeah.
And they think it's a debate and they don't jump out of their seat. You'd think the first protocol would be to jump out of your seat and say, they're doing what to kids? And actually they don't understand why it's bad, and they are telling you that the best thing is that the quicker somebody can transition, the quicker they can live in their correct gender, is that you just sort of want to leave the planet.
It is bonkers though, isn't it? It is like they've been sort of taken over by some sort of cult.
Yeah, it's insane, and I've been observing, these patterns of human behavior and misogyny for a very long time, and I always spoke about it with my mate, and yeah, and it's just what one thing in particular was the sort of the RuPaul's Drag Race obsession that he had. Now, the thing is, I was always the one that would recommend TV to him, and then he would get into stuff. And one day I thought, I'll just watch it. I'll sort of binge watch all of it, because I don't want to miss out on this sort of pop cultural moment. Binged it, it was fine, it was fun. But of course, being so, in my heart and soul, thinking that, misogyny is just one of the ugliest things. And then it just kept getting worse and worse. Like this obsession that they have with these drag queens, I saw it it was like metastasizing more. And I just get flashes of like when, my friend's boyfriend, I remember he showed me a picture once, I think on his phone, where his boyfriend had sort of dressed up in this sort of pink latex, tight as hell parody of like a woman holding a Hoover, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
and wearing high heels. And I just remember thinking, it's so really, I wanted to react and say this is disgusting, but at the time it hadn't quite sort of, the atom hadn't quite been split as much as it has like now,
Yeah.
where you can really see it for what it is. But it was just the obsession, and you'd see like, this whole drag con thing, but there's so many, like what that woman was saying on the previous calls, things that I noticed, for example, with like Michelle Visage, who does RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
And she'd go on the drag con thing, and then I would see like drag queens really blatantly being horrible to her because she's a woman, but she can sort of brush it off, if you know what I mean. So they'd sort of insult her like, oh, your cheap Primark shoes, and I'd be like, well, she bought those shoes because she's a woman and she needs to be comfortable. And I know this because I've got a mother who at one point she just stopped wearing high heels because she's a woman and she was done with that. She always wants to wear comfortable shoes now. It all makes sense, right? But they were like proper insulting. Michelle was like, you've got cheap shoes from Primark and da-da-da. She had to remind them sometimes, by the way, you are a guy with a beard. Like she always consistently does remind them, be grateful that, people even flock to see you because you are just a dude in a dress.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they can't see that. Like there's sort of an irony there that they have someone on the show that is able to bring them back to reality, because really she just supports gay people and whatever else.
This is true.
Huh?
This is true.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
like at one point I saw one of these drag queens, or whatever you want to call them, not queens, but just,
Yeah.
female impersonators. I remember he said on this sort of short video thing that he filmed of their process of drag, he said to Michelle Visage, he said, I hate you. He said to her face, I hate you. And I thought, do these people not realize that not only is it misogyny, but they're kind of like, they're like indulging in misogyny and sort of forgetting almost that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then it's become like almost this really strange, like it's become real. Like it's gone from just being like, some adult entertainment thing and something fun to, or possibly you could put it in the category of theatre, something theatrical that you go and see. And like you, I don't like it either. I think it's horrible as well. But now I really detest it, because it's like, it's just the whole misogyny rearing its ugly head in a way that I've just never seen before. Like,
well,
it was
you
always,
and me both. Like the trouble with drag is that, especially RuPaul's Drag Race, we know that it's CUNT, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. And so now it's started, I might rant all night about drag, but I have to move on to the next call. Thank you so very much for your call. Thank you very much. Yeah, drag. Oh my gosh, it's pretty horrendous. Pretty horrendous. I don't know what my phone line is doing. But it's weird. Hello, good morning. You are through to TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh gosh, I can't believe it got through.
You have. Good morning.
I have been wanting to call for a very, very long time, and just couldn't build up the courage to, or probably couldn't get the time right. I'm in Australia. I actually attended Let Women Speak in Australia as well. But I wanted to talk to you about something that happened with my son, who was only 5, first year of school,
Yeah.
and he was getting severely bullied. He's quite feminine. We don't really do gender or stereotypes. We just let my kids do what, play with whatever they want. We get them what they want to play with, and he just likes pink and dolls and unicorns, and so we just got him what he wanted to do, and there's no stereotypes in our house. But when we got to school, all hell broke loose. It was just relentless. He was consistently called a girl, consistently arguing with, other 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds, which you think, no big deal. Until kids in the playground started targeting him and following him to the bathroom and telling him he couldn't go into the boys' bathrooms anymore. And he's male. He's being told to get out, either cut your hair or go in the girls' bathroom because you're a girl. And he'd be like, I'm a boy. But that's just where it starts. So I had, he's autistic, quite severely autistic, and I was contacting the NDIS, and they told me to contact a service here. And I contacted them to see if they could get any services for us. We had funding, but we couldn't use any services because we just got out of lockdown. And the next I knew, I'd told them about him being bullied, and the next minute, Child Protection was interviewing him at school.
Jesus
5 years old.
Without you?
And yeah, I had no idea. Until they called me, and they'd interviewed him alone at school, and just him. I've got 3 kids, so just him. And we went through months and months of absolute hell, and I had absolutely no idea. They wouldn't tell me why they were here. They wouldn't tell me why they were investigating. I couldn't understand. I was in contact with so many different women, school principals from other schools. Even the school said, we have no idea what it was like out of the blue. And I'm a very gentle mother. I'm full bore, home birth. We've homeschooled my eldest for 4.5 years. My biggest thing was my biggest pride was how good a mother I am, and they treated me like garbage. It was horrendous. And when it finally got closed, only because my support coordinator stepped in and basically said, "What the hell are you doing?" to this poor woman, and they were traumatizing my kids. And yeah, and I called up and tried to make a complaint too. They were horrible to me as well. So I ended up having to pull my son out of school. But then a few months ago, he turned around to me in the car and he was talking about it. And he said that the lady asked if he wanted to be a girl. Now, when I asked the school about this, they have completely denied that ever happened. But where would my son get that from? He's 5 years old, and he went into... this wasn't the end either. I'm sorry, I'm taking up so much time.
No, you carry on.
But the biggest thing that happened from this is my son ended up being diagnosed with pathological demand avoidance. He was a completely normal little boy at the time, but with PDA, I had no idea about PDA. It's an autism profile. When they go into burnout, they completely disappear. And he just disappeared. It was like blowing out a candle. And you couldn't talk to him. He'd hiss and bark not bark, but growl. And he just lost control of his body. He lost control of his mind, and he was just not there. He was 5 years old. It took me 5 months of holding him through that, and we're out the other side now, and he's coming back with lots and lots of therapy. But that was 5 months of me trusting the school system. 5 months after 4.5 years of homeschooling. And I don't even know. The school is denying that of certain things, and all I can do is listen to my 6-year-old child who is half here and half not here. And yeah,
So
that's Melbourne.
let me just. So, oh, you were in Melbourne, were you?
Yeah, so we have the crazy conversion therapy laws, which is what was quite scared that maybe that I had been caught up in, but no one would tell me anything.
So here now, I don't know. I think actually there are stories you will hear about how basically when social services mess up, there is a bit of a closing ranks situation where you can't find out anything, and once you're targeted, I think it feels like you've lost all power. But is there
Yeah.
not a way that you can get somebody to advocate for you and get the notes? Is it surely there's something
Well,
written somewhere about who called
I
social
have looked at
services?
doing that, the freedom of information, but I'm now dealing, with a child with very severe needs, so my time is limited. I work at night. It's 4 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm still up working. And then I'm up all day dealing with kids. So it's trying to get around to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I have reached out to an MP who said that if I can get my notes together, they will help with freedom of information. Also, the Australian there's a couple of legal clinics in Australia that said that they would help me, who they all follow you. But they reached out. But I've basically joined Twitter just to speak openly, because I felt so. You can't tell somebody you've been investigated by child protection. They can't understand it. They just think that there's something wrong. There's something, you must have done something. They think you couldn't possibly just investigate. It's just yeah, it was horrendous. They completely, I just broke me. I couldn't believe what was happening. It was like living in a scenario of 1984. Of I'm sitting there arguing with them. I'm like, why are you here?
So what
And
was
they
their
just wouldn't tell
rationale?
me.
Because
Well,
so
the end report
Yeah.
report was that I didn't have NDIS services for my child. That's the reason I reached out to them. So why would you send child protection to investigate when someone had called you to see if you could help find therapies for your child? So that's all they could come up with.
God, it's disgusting. I mean,
But
I
they,
think it comes down to in this country, it certainly comes down to poorly trained, poorly paid, just such a grueling job that anybody with experience who's any good at it leaves. And then you're just left with
yeah,
people that have just gone to uni, and then they're suddenly overwhelmed, and they're not parents, and they have no understanding of what children are like. And it's the same, I think, in the education system. It's cheaper to have brand new qualified teachers who are kids, basically. So I'm
yes,
so
there's
sorry
so
this has
many
happened
teachers
to
we've
you,
lost here.
but I'm glad that you've
But,
taken him out and that he's got a chance. And imagine if he didn't have you.
yeah,
I mean, there must be
yeah,
kids that it's happened to all over the place that don't have a mother like you.
yeah. It's so hard to have your position as a mother when you try so hard to be a good mother,
Yeah.
and to have that the core of your body just questioned like that.
Could
And
you
they were not nice to me. They were horrible.
well, I'm sure they weren't. Could you contact Moira Deeming?
Yeah, no, I know Moira. I know
Okay.
Moira. I don't know her in person, but I know her from another issue. But there's another MP here as well that's quite good. I didn't want to bother Moira while she's in the midst of so many different things.
It's so horrendous what's happened to her. But
Yeah, it's horrible.
I
But
really do feel that this, as horrific as like your individual situation is, and it is probably most of, any parent with a child must feel afraid of this nonsense, but certainly children with autism who are already vulnerable. We know that, I think research says
yeah,
about 90% of children with an autism diagnosis are bullied at school, and it's not always overt bullying. It often is, but it's also being ostracized and ignored, and generally just having a really crappy time at school. So this on top of it all is It's horrendous. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much,
You're very
and
welcome.
I'll keep following. You'll probably figure out who I am sooner or later. I'm very active on your Twitter.
Oh, you know. Well, I'm going to have to watch out. But Melbourne was
All right.
the place of that incredible speech. I think
Yeah,
just is
it was
one of
wonderful.
my, and you Aussies swear so well.
Wasn't me,
so.
unfortunately. I wish it was.
I know she was
I was mostly hiding.
I just felt every single thing she said was just like an explosion, and you sort of heard her sort of talk, and as soon as she went, and the left has lost its fucking mind, everyone just
Oh,
went.
she was wonderful.
So good.
If I could only find her, I think we'd be best friends. I adore
I
her.
want to be her best friend as well. I think everyone wants to. I think the beauty of her speech and the fact that she just goes straight back to anonymity and has never stepped forward and didn't want that, but just kind of came into our lives and our ears and kind of invigorated something. I really do feel like that is a perfect part of Let Women Speak. But
Yeah.
oh, it's not going to last forever. I promise.
It's all right. We're just going to get through this. I'm just
absolutely
hanging
do.
out for. I've got an older child that's very much peaked, and think they'll do quite well. But just getting through for the little ones at the moment.
Absolutely. Well,
but
much
yeah,
love to
anyway,
you.
Thank you so much. And I should probably go to bed.
Yes, you probably should. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Oh, that's like the worst, isn't it? Child Protective Services because your kid's getting bullied at school. Just unbelievable. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to, or you can just ring off. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Hello.
Hi, Kelly.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Paul.
Is it?
Hi, Kelly. My name is Paul.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Kelly. How are you getting on today?
Good.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can all hear you. What
Yeah,
would you
I'm
like
just ringing
to
up.
say?
I'm just ringing up to tell you how absolutely amazing you are.
Are you? And what's your peaking story?
Well,
No? You don't have one?
well, peaking story. What's a peaking story?
It's when you realize that women don't have penises.
Well, they never have.
Right.
I mean, it's absolute nonsense. It's just it's complete rubbish. It's.
Are you struggling? Should I just move on?
Yeah, I can't. It seems to be a delay on the line.
I think it probably is.
Yeah. Take care, Kellie-Jay.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See me? Born yesterday. Innit? It's like I was born yesterday. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello, my name's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I've spoken to you before. I live in France.
Hi.
I just wanted to talk to you about something that's quite interesting I heard the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend of mine. I won't mention their sex, so I'll just use they, although I hate doing that. This is a person that I reconnected with after a very, very long time. And this person works for the US State Department in international affairs, but so she's based, sorry, oops, I've just slipped up there.
We're not going to know who they are. Don't worry.
Anyway.
It's hard, isn't it, to do it?
It's really hard to do. She works for the US State Department, and she's based abroad. and she works in like third world countries in like political and economic affairs. And we were catching up, chatting the other day. We're the same age, and we knew each other when we were kids. So we were quite blunt with each other about our views and stuff like that. And then the conversation automatically comes around to things like the trans debate.
Yes.
And then I sort of said where I stood, because I don't care. I just say what I think. And she said, "Oh, I feel the same." But the thing that was disturbing to me is that she said when she goes into any political negotiation with a third world country or any kind of economic negotiations, she has to push the LGBT agenda. In any third world country, she has to encourage them. And she said it makes her feel so uncomfortable. I mean, these countries have problems such as, starvation, economic problems, poverty, but they have to push the LGBT agenda, the T mostly, agenda. And she says she feels so uncomfortable with that. But it comes from the top. It's absolute policy, something she has to do. And, she was also talking about her pronouns in profiles that they're really pressured to do it, and she'd feel so uncomfortable with it. But obviously...
Well, did you see that woman from Davos the other day? So it's the woman from Davos said that Biden, when he was vice president, so before Trump's few years, when Biden was vice president, he had meetings with people at Davos, the World Economic Forum, the WHO, and large corporations. And they made a decision then. And unfortunately, it's not LGB. Nobody's pushing anything about LGB.
I didn't mean that. I waffle that bit out, but I know it's the T. It's
the T. No, but they are told it's LGBT. I'm sure your friend is told that it's LGBT. Nobody's really saying transgenderism. They're saying LGBT because it's fair and reasonable that all countries stop, there's what it says. There's the rape of lesbian women in African countries to try and force them to be straight, and there's we know that throughout there's loads of homophobia everywhere, and people are getting beaten up in the streets. So we'd like to stop that, right? But the rest of it is dangerous as hell and absolutely has no place. And I don't know if when you're talking about famine, or when you're talking about starvation, or when you're talking about absolute poverty, I don't even really know if we've got time for even, women's rights or homosexual rights or any rights. We just basically need to get these people on the ladder of being able to feed people. So it is it's really hideous. I don't really understand it.
I know, it's just coming from somebody that's truly entrenched in that political sphere, that to actually hear it firsthand when she has to go into any kind of negotiation. She works primarily in third world countries. I won't say what region, obviously, but it's just, I mean, about Uganda, for example. I know they've got some pretty abysmal rights when it comes to gay and lesbian relations, and there's some pretty, but it's their country. And when these lefties always talk about like colonialism, and for me this is like another kind of colonialism, when they are starting to push this agenda and European and Western mindset onto a country which is quite conservative. I find it quite abhorrent. And then when she told me that, I was quite gobsmacked. I didn't think it was that bad.
Well, we've got a man in this country. We're not even a third world country, and we've got a man who's heading up rape crisis. So I think I'm not surprised, but I guess that's just probably because I know too much, and nothing surprises me anymore. But it does make me think that also the revolutions and civil rights and everything. So the right for a person who's homosexual or lesbian to actually live their life in peace, that kind of has to come from an internal struggle. You can't demand that. And we know that from things like FGM. So we in the West, we all acknowledge that FGM is a disgusting, despicable, vile, mutilating harm on girls. However, we've been telling, I can't remember, I think it's Malawi. We'll say it's Malawi. So what happened when women in Malawi decided to start to try to stop FGM? What they would do is they would go around village by village, talking to women and educating them. and that was Ethiopia, Malawi, women from Malawi. I don't know what they'd be called, Malawans, talking to other women from Malawi and talking in their cultural kind of point of reference. And it changed. I think it decreased FGM by about 90%. So it really worked. We can shame and we can tell them all we like from all the way over here, but I don't think that is how rights are won, by us sort of trying to negotiate policy from government to government. I just don't think that's how it works. But what a
No,
pagan
it's
nightmare.
awful.
Just
It is
horrible.
indeed. I mean, it is. I mean, I called you back in September and I told you about an incident I had 25 years ago when I went into a toilet. Not in Europe, it was
Oh,
in
yes.
Asia. And there's a transvestite in the toilet with the stall door wide open, holding his, what shall I call it, a lady stick?
Penis.
And he was, yes, absolutely. And he was getting a kick out of the women that were coming in there. And obviously, you know,
Being shocked.
in Asia, some of the men pass much better as women than in Europe. I mean, they're obviously bigger and you can tell them a mile off. But, you know, I mean, a lot of the people that advocate for same-sex toilets or what do they call it, gender-neutral toilets.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about the stalls and stuff like that. Well, this was in a stall, but he just had the door wide open and his pants down.
Yeah.
So,
well, we know no decent man actually enters a woman's space because they have been
No.
told time and time again that we don't like it. But thank you very much for your call and concerning,
welcome.
as always. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, God, it's so bad. It's just so bad. I wonder if we'll get any more fun calls this evening. Look, I'm ready for them. I'm utterly ready. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Nope. Nothing. They'd like to say nothing. I'll have to do that. I've missed you all. I haven't worn this much makeup for about 3 weeks. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, hello. I don't really want to give my name, and I didn't really expect to get through.
Okay.
Okay. So in my family, we have autism, right through the whole family, and my sister's child, which is female, is now being pulled into the all trans horribleness, and is 16, and it's caused such a rift in our family because, well, I'm gay, and I believe in males and females. I don't believe in anything else, and it's caused such a horrible rift, and the school is enabling this, and it's just I don't know what to do because I don't speak to my sister anymore. It's horribly painful to see this young girl thinking she's a boy and maybe a gay boy and all the rest of it. And as a gay man, I find that really insulting, but you can't change gender. And
no.
So I'd like some sort of advice about how I can support my sister, who's just really caught up in this whole like white woman woke sort of awfulness.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that once you're in the cult, it takes a very skilled person to bring somebody out. So do you say your sister's transitioning your niece?
Oh, my sister, her daughter thinks that she's a boy.
Okay.
And but she's autistic and been terribly bullied at school, and so it all fits into that narrative of what, transing a child, because they can't get therapy on the NHS at all. They just don't get anything at all. And she asked for testosterone like last month, and I just
How old is she?
I'm terrified of turning 16.
Okay. And who did she request testosterone? Sorry, did you say? I thought you said you're not speaking to your sister anymore. So how are you? How are you still?
My mum. So I get information through my mother, who is obviously trying. My mother's an old woman, and so it's very difficult for her to understand what's going on. And The last time I saw her, we were all like misgendering because it's quite confusing, and it's just caused. So then I was like, I can't try to enable this young child to pick a false gender, you know. So I just don't know what I don't know what to do, because I'm getting information from my mother, and I kind of I don't know at 16 what can you do?
Well, I think if your sister's going along with it, you're a I mean, I don't know what you can do at all. The only thing your mother can do is continually suggest that your sister thinks about what happens when her niece regrets it. Her daughter regrets it in, I don't know,
Yeah,
2 years, 6 months, 5 years. And also maybe talk about the risks of testosterone, which is ultimately heart failure. So it's
yeah,
it's a really, really dangerous drug. But I think that's the only thing you can do really is just inform your mother. So when she is having a conversation with your sister and something comes up, your mother has enough information to be able to gently correct and steer in the right direction. But I think once a child's in a cult and then their mothers join the cult, and anybody with any power to stop it, which is probably not your mother or you, I
no,
don't really know if there's anything you can do. So
no,
places you can go to get scientific information that's sort of quite bite sized and easy to understand might be Transgender Trend, GenSpec, LGB Alliance. All those sorts of organizations can help you get the right information.
great.
All right.
Okay, so thank you so much. And I think how you deal with the online rubbish, and when you do your woman's, all these horrible people screaming, I think I couldn't do it. I think you're so strong, and I'm really thankful that you're doing this for young people. So great. Thanks very
Well,
much.
you're very welcome. Let's
Thank
try not
you.
to trans away any more gay kids. But thank you so much.
No, absolutely.
All right,
My
nice
pleasure.
to talk to
Bye-bye.
you. Cheers. Bye-bye. Always so wary of men now. I sort of think, especially if they're complimentary. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello, Kellie-Jay. How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Okay, you know who this is, I
I
think.
know who this is. Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome back, first of all.
Thank you so
It's,
much.
your podcasts keep me sane.
Well, I'm glad
I'm
they
lis-
keep someone sane.
Okay, the one thing I wanted to ask you is, have you been following any of the news about the boycotts on Bud Light and Target?
I have indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your take on it?
Well, look, I think that's how capitalism, free market capitalism works, isn't it? If you annoy customers, they won't buy your stuff. So I think it's good. I think it's I think I think it's really interesting because there's been lots of these things where people go boycott, and they don't really work. But this one is maybe the first one. Maybe a lot of conservative men drank Bud Light. I can only think
I
that
think that
that's
is true. Yes.
so. Maybe they just really annoyed the wrong demographic who will actually, maybe those men, once you emasculate them and put something preposterous in front of them to advertise, maybe they will do it. Did it work with Gillette as well? Because it doesn't work with women's
Yes.
brands. I don't think women
No, it
boycott
did
so
work
much.
with Gillette. It worked very well with Gillette.
Maybe, I wonder why that is. I mean, it might be that women make most of the purchases and make maybe some purchases men make, but if there were 100 items in my house, well, I'm a very poor example, but 100 items in most households where there are both men and women, right? Maybe a woman makes 80% of the purchases. So the 20% of the purchases that men do make, which might include razors and Bud Light, maybe they're so significant because that those men make a difference. Do you see what I mean? Whereas women,
Yes.
like, maybe we don't make such concentrated small number of purchases. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
Women don't buy razors for the most part.
No. Well, we should buy men's razors though, because they are cheaper.
Mm.
Once you put pink on something, apparently it gets really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what
Well,
do
that's
you
why they
make of
put
it?
pink on. Well, I mean, I'm glad it happened, because something had to give. I'm kind of surprised by it, but but I always look at what can come down the line, because I have a feeling that some of these people, and I've been reading stuff online, are so punchy now that they're going to make some serious mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you mean
and
the trans and their allies?
no, I mean the conservatives right now.
Okay.
It's not because I'm against what they're doing right now,
Mm.
but I don't always trust their judgment.
There's sometimes the
Because
stuff is laced. Like I'll get in a taxi sometimes, and they'll say, "What do you do?" And I'll say, "And I like women don't have penises, and I want to retain women only spaces." And they go, "Yeah," and we have a really great conversation. Then they go, "And the gays." I'm like, "No, not the gays,
yeah,
not the gays, not the
I have
gays.
seen
We're
that.
happy. We're okay with the gays.
They're
It's
not, a
everyone
lot of them.
else." No, they're
So
not.
there's different agendas that are intersecting with each other.
Yeah. That's what I'd look. I know that you've made your comments before about like women speaking first and last and so on, but I think because women in
I'm
this
over that.
issue, okay, good. But because women in this issue, right, because we have a shared experience that is not political, but a shared experience in comparison to the men in our lives. Now, that doesn't mean that I am the same as any other woman. It just means in comparison to the men in my culture, we have a similar experience, and we have similar experiences with our bodies, because a lot of what happens in puberty, both to boys and girls, and so you have commonality with men, but a lot of the stuff that happens in puberty for girls is a physical imperative. It's an absolute thing that is experienced through the psychological relationship between our body changes and the way we feel about our bodies is kind of proven globally. So therefore, it's a necessary kind of part of puberty. And so that's why I think it's important that women speak about this, because if we speak and we speak in a capacity of everybody is welcome, which is how I speak, then we are much more likely to not be influenced, even though all the lefty women thinks we will be. But I think it's a lot easier to remain very focused and pure about what it is that you want to achieve, and not get mixed in, no matter what those men want, no matter what, the conservative men want. They're not speaking at Let Women Speak. And so therefore, I don't think that we are remotely likely to be contaminated by whatever agenda anybody else brings, because we just stick to women. That's my view.
Okay. Well, I'm willing to go along with that.
Good. Well,
Good.
then we'll all get along just fine. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd put the movie up on Twitter today, actually, because you were in San Francisco, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. So what a place. What a place. I mean, it's getting ruined by Wiener, obviously, but it's a beautiful part of the world.
Well, it was.
I'm sure it will be again. Maybe it just
still
needs
is.
to be locked down for about 25 years and opened up again. Anyway, lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, hello. My name is Marianne. I'm from California, and I was with you when you started your tour here in Hollywood.
Oh, hi.
And how are you? I'm a teacher. I'm a public school teacher, and I just wanted to kind of give you an update. Last year, when I spoke with you, I had been in a conversation with a little girl who thought she was a boy, and I was really heavily criticized by some other teachers that basically wanted to get me fired. But they didn't get me fired, and I learned that I could not talk to kids, and I couldn't call their parents. That was against the rules. But you know what? I could be the billboard. And so this year I started off just wearing your shirts all the time, once a week, maybe a female shirt or your woman shirt. That's the one that really gets them, by the way. But one of the women that was after me last year. Her husband is the head of human resources in our district. And she called her husband on me. And so my boss, my principal, she called me in and she said, listen, this gentleman, the head of HR, wants to know why you're wearing these shirts.
Jesus
and so
Christ.
I just played dumb. I said, well, I like the shirts. They're soft. And
They are very good quality, but that's not the point of the story.
It's a nice shirt. I like it. And so I just played dumb, because I knew who it came from. And so a couple weeks go by, and then she calls me again. She said, listen, he really wants to know why you're wearing that shirt. And I said, well, tell him I like the shirt. And so the very next day, she calls and tells me, she comes, this is the principal. She said, listen, the superintendent wants to talk to you. So I was really nervous. So I got called into the superintendent's office, the assistant superintendent. So I literally got called into my boss's office for wearing a shirt that said woman. You think about that for a minute. So he's sitting there talking to me, and I wrote a statement. I go, no, I can't talk to him tomorrow, because I'm really, I'm a crybaby. I cry at the drop of a hat, and I go, oh, no, I'll just cry. And so I wrote out a statement. I took the weekend and I wrote out a statement. And then my boss, who was really supportive, she said, you're not going to go in there alone. You're going to go in there with me. And so she went in there with me, along with the union rep. And the union rep, they told me, we're not protecting you. You have no freedom of speech in your classroom. So, but the union rep went in with me anyway, just as a formality, but not because of the support. And so I just took the tack of kind of trying to fill out the situation and not being real aggressive, and just kind of playing naive, like, what's wrong with the shirt, letting him tell me what's wrong with the shirt. And I might want to add, I'm a science teacher. So, one of my concerns was, if I can't use the word female, how can I teach science? Where does that leave me? And then I also asked the question, well, if I'm not allowed to claim female, what does that mean for my students? My female students, are they allowed to claim female? Are they going to get called in? Are they going to get in trouble? So I was teaching 6th grade. And so when I left that meeting, I thought to myself, this man is their friend, this is their friend. So there's this teacher, and her husband is head of HR, and this is the assistant superintendent, and they're all friendly. They see each other socially probably. And who am I? I'm just a rank and file teacher. And so I put in for a transfer at a different school. And you have to keep in mind, I've been at the school for 21 years. This is my home. Jesus. I'm part of this community, and these are my friends. And so I went in, I'm going to cry just thinking about it. I went in and I told my boss, I said, listen, I put in for a transfer to a high school, which was a continuation high school, which is where all the kids that can't really make it in high school, they get their sort of last chance at this continuation high school.
Yeah.
And so I go, there was an opening. So the very next day I put in for a transfer, but the transfer has to go through this woman's husband because he's head of HR. And so I go into my boss, who was so supportive, and I didn't want to leave her high and dry, because, I am a very experienced teacher, and I am good at what I do, and I love these kids, and I'm part of this community, and it was a big decision I had to make. But I had to realize too, this woman sicked her husband on me. She didn't go to my boss and complain about my shirt. She went to my boss's boss.
Could you wear a pride shirt at your school if you went in saying love is love?
No, but just as an aside, this teacher that is in question and her very good friend are in charge of the pride group at school. So they literally run a pride club for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, which are, I don't know how it is in the UK, but 6th grade is 11 years old.
It's so nuts, the whole pride rainbow groups at school. I don't understand why they were started in the first place. It's really bizarre.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because the little girl, what started my whole thing was this little girl thought she was a boy, and I heard your voice saying, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? And I'm like, well, I guess no one's going to have to talk with her. So I guess it's me, so I pulled her aside and I said, listen, sweetheart, there's nothing wrong with your body. You're beautiful. You're healthy. You walked in here on two good legs. You should appreciate your body and not be mad about what it is, and just be grateful for what it is,
Yeah.
And I spoke to her mother, and her mother said, I think my daughter's probably a lesbian, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. And that mother said exactly what you said right now. She said, why do we even have this pride group? And this is a woman who is supportive of lesbians and gays. She's like, when we were going to school, because she's in her, late 40s, I'm in my 50s. When we were going to school, people were gay and nobody really cared. It was just, all right, well, they're gay, no big deal.
Yeah.
And now it's like all this pride stuff. It's like, do we really even need this? Is it even what it says it is? Because I don't even think it is. I don't think it has anything to do with.
I just don't. Well, like, what are they sitting around talking about? Like, I just don't.
I know.
What's the purpose of it?
Exactly.
Hey, I think I'm a lesbian, or I think I'm a lesbian. I'm bisexual. I want to be a boy. Do you want to be a boy? Where can you buy a binder? Like, what? I don't understand what it's about.
I don't understand the adults that are running it,
I kind of
So it's these
understand
two
them.
women, and they just wanted to get me fired. Well, they didn't get me fired because, the way it all played out. Anyways, long story short, she sticks her husband on me, and here I am in front of the head of HR. I'm like, oh my God, I was shaking. And I was nervous because I'm like, I got nervous. And so I told the head of, the man, the assistant superintendent, I go, I'm nervous. And he goes, well, his response is, well, we have counseling. And I looked at him, and that kind of made me mad. I go, I have healthcare. I could get counseling. I have healthcare. I go, I'm not nervous because my kids are sick. I'm nervous because I'm in HR, and this is where you go to get hired and fired, and I've already been hired. And then he kind of backed down. I could tell that he was like, oh, well, I didn't mean it that way. Well, which way did you mean it? Why do I need counseling? What you think I'm in here because I'm having trauma in my life?
So what did
No.
happen? Have you
I'm
left
in
the
here
school? Are you in the school? Was he awful? Did he listen? What happened in that
Well, the
meeting?
thing was, he sat there, and I'm sitting there thinking, and as this meeting's going on, I'm thinking, okay, this man is just spineless.
Right.
He's not going to stick up for me, and he's friends with these other two. So there's this opening, I'm going to go for it, because I've got 5 years left. You know what I mean? I've put in some time in this career, and I don't have a husband. It's just me paying all my bills. And so, there's things you got to think of,
Yeah.
So anyway, I told my boss, I said, listen, I put in for this. And I explained to her, I said, listen, this guy's spineless too. And they're friends. And she understood. My principal, she said, yeah, I know, you got to watch your back. And so what happened was, it's a happy ending, actually,
Okay.
because I got transferred to this school, and it's a school that all the kids are like juniors and seniors. So they're 16, 17, 18 years old. And now I can just speak freely. And I wear my shirts all the time. And I just tell the girls, my mission is to tell these girls that they're allowed to call bullshit on this. They're allowed to be against it. They're allowed to be uncomfortable with men in their spaces. They're allowed to say, no, you can't. You're not a woman. No, sorry. And I could even use rough language, because these are the rough kids anyway. They're in the continuation school, So, the Dylan Mulvaney thing came up, and then the girl goes, what's that about? I go, I know. What does he know about being a woman? Nothing. Bullshit. And so I'm allowed to talk way more freely, whereas before I was talking to 11-year-old. And even though they're being indoctrinated from the other side, I still feel uncomfortable talking to an 11-year-old about this topic, because it just seems so grossly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Even though I'm trying to plant the seed on the other side, it's still kind of weird. But the 17-year-old, I can talk freely all day long to the 17-year-old. And
thank goodness.
Yesterday was the last day of school for the summer, and a couple of days ago, I'm cleaning up my room, and there's these three girls in particular. And I've only been at this school like, I think 6 weeks.
Mm.
So right away, I came in, I fixed up my room really warm and welcoming. I'm wearing your shirt, and I'm making connections with these children that are the same as I made at the other school, just warm and loving. And I play the part of the older woman that's been around a little bit and can give you some advice. It's not judging you, but it can, kind of guide you, because that's what I thought older women were supposed to do. That's what I counted on when I was a teenager. And so I just, guide them through. Oh, and by the way, I get to this school and there's two little, I say, quote, there are two little girls that think they're boys in my classroom.
Right.
And I made a point of, I didn't tell them you're not a boy. I just pretended like I didn't know that that's what they were going for.
Right. Yeah.
And I went with the her and the she, and I just treated them like any other girl, And I actually got very close to both of them. And it's all okay,
Yeah.
At any rate, the final part of the story was they're playing on my whiteboard, and they get a whiteboard marker and they draw a little sketch of me, and they draw my shirt and it says woman, adult, human, female. They're like, look at this, there's you. And I looked and I had to laugh, because the kids themselves are onto this whole scam.
Yeah. And they need adults to
really
speak and give them permission. They just.
I've given permission. And
Yeah.
they said, where's your stickers? Because I'd run out of stickers. I go, I'm going to order some and I'll have them for you next year, because they're coming back. Are you coming back next year? They're like, yeah, we'll be here. So they want.
You can also get things like this
stickers.
in the American. You're in the US, aren't you? So we are.
I'm in the US. I'm in California.
We have got a lovely person who is now. We're just finalizing this weekend, so you can get this sticker in the store, and you can get trans women and men with angry little eggplants.
Well, I have some trans women or men, just the ones that say, and most have a penis. I have some of those left.
We've
but I don't
just
have any women ones left. So
we've gone up. We've gone up. It's so exciting that we've now got something in your country, so that the postage isn't ridiculously expensive and takes forever. But thank you so much for updating us. It's been really lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for everything you do, and I'll be ordering some more stickers. Thanks a million.
Wonderful.
And,
cheers.
And we're winning the hearts and minds, believe it or not.
I agree. I totally agree. Nice to talk to you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, it's nice to hear a little happy ending, don't you think? Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. It's not even Tuesday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello. We spoke earlier, but there was a delay and we got cut off.
Oh, hi. What would you like to
Don't
say?
be like that. I'm just phoning up to say how absolutely wonderful you are, and I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you.
I'd love to know where you get your energy from, because you seem to be completely indefatigable and you're just an inspiration to everybody.
Well, thanks. I don't know. Food and water, probably.
Well, it's just, I was watching this thing on Talk TV the other day
Mm-hmm.
where they had Peter Tatchell, yawn, drawn, and this woman from the LGBT Alliance was absolutely incredible. And I had this bloke on, this DJ, who was telling Ollie London that he wasn't a real trans person. Well, so now a gay man has the audacity to tell a trans person what a trans person is. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
Mm. So
how is the left?
So
how
is
is the
Ollie
left now allowed to decide who is and who isn't trans?
So do you think Ollie London is trans?
Personally, no, because I don't believe you can change your sex. But it's quite ridiculous that the left now decide what you can be, but you can't tell the left what they can be.
Well, look, Ollie London doesn't identify as anything, does he? I mean, I wouldn't call him trans either. I don't think he ever was anything other than however he was born. But yeah, it's incredible. I think both of those men. Was the lady from the LGBT Alliance on the same interview? Because I haven't watched it.
Oh yeah, she was absolutely brilliant.
Nice, good.
Oh, she was. Well, I just want to tell you how wonderful you are. I'll leave you to get on, but please don't stop what you're doing, because you're nearly there.
Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you.
Lots of love, Kelly.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Hi. Oh dear. Bev Jackson. Yes, I did see a little bit of Bev. I must say that was wonderful. Hello, good morning. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. It's not Tuesday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
wasn't expecting to get through. Hi, I'm from New Zealand. I just want to say thank you very, very much for waking us all up. I didn't go to your talk, but I was in the I was going to a show in the city, so I did see the mob come past after your talk, and they were quite irate. But before then, I was with my mother, and we came across some people that were at your talk. We came across a gentleman that got pushed over, and a few other people that were very upset, and sitting there with their little signs saying, you know, women stand up for women and women's spaces and women's sports, and they had to leave where they were very quickly when the mob started coming through. We got to have a good talk with them. And you certainly woke us up. I was semi-aware that things were going on. I have a young daughter, and she's 14 now, and when she was about 11, she said to me, "Oh, Mum, I think I'm a lesbian." And I'm like, "Oh, that's okay." I said, "But you're only 11. Let's not worry too much about this at the moment. If you are, that's fine. My sister is. I've got family members that are. We've got lots of lesbians in our family. I know lots of gay people. That's no big deal." But she was only 11, so I just wanted to let her think about it a bit more. And then after a while, she started becoming quite talkative about trans people,
right,
and trans rights and things like that. And I was quite surprised because she's only young. I was like, okay. And I kind of said a few things to her. I wasn't aware. I was not aware.
Yeah.
I said a few things to her though. I was a little bit aware, and that I was saying to her, you can't just change sex. These people, you can't do this, and if you're going to do this, this is a lifetime thing. This isn't a small thing, because she was kind of under this impression you wake up one day and you can be the other.
Yeah.
You can be the other gender, just like that. I mean, she's only a child. So thankfully she didn't go down that, but she did tell me one day I'm pansexual, and I was like, what's that? And she kind of said, "Oh, I just love everyone." And I was like, okay, that's fine, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. But then when you came and I was doing all this research, and I've become now very hyper aware of what all this is. And I don't think she's getting it from the school. Not sure. I think definitely it's coming through peer groups, and it's coming through the internet. Although New Zealand, thankfully the other day, this is one thing just to finish her story off. She was in the bathroom brushing her hair. She's now 14. She was brushing her hair, and she goes, "Mummy, why does testosterone make you lose your hair?" And I was like, "Oh, darling, it's, does lots of things, testosterone. It makes you lose your hair. It makes you go all hairy, and it makes you, makes men stronger." And I kept it I didn't want to talk about it in the cross-sex hormone way. I wanted to talk about what it does for a man. So I told her it makes them stronger. It makes them how they are, men are. And I said, yes, and it makes them, their jaws squarer, and it makes them look a little bit more sort of as men. And anyway, she's still brushing her hair, and she looks in the mirror and she goes, "Mummy, I'm lucky." And I said, "Yes, you are lucky." She goes, "I like girly things." And I just went, my heart just went, "Oh, thank God." But in some ways I was like, I'm really happy she did that, but I'm also sad for the world that I have to be happy that my girl likes girly things.
Yeah.
Because a girl who doesn't like girly things should be allowed to do that too.
Yeah. Yes.
And
But we've lost
girl. It's ridiculous. silly. And so, but I was pleased because I thought, oh, thank goodness, she's still 14. She's still aware of all this stuff. So I'm still very nervous.
Yeah.
Because of what's going on. I'm nervous about the changes they're doing in our schools, the sexualisation of the sex education curriculum for younger children. I'm worried about the push that they're doing for, they're now at the moment wanting to push the school boards to have, at the moment it is 50% women, 50% males, or females and males, that's what it's supposed to be in the law. They're now pushing that to be changed, that they have to have a representative from someone who has genders and sexualities and diversities on it. Now, the school boards have only got 14 people, where schools here in New Zealand are small.
Yeah.
And so they want to take up that part in the board for a small minority of people. They want to take up a big percentage of that board. And one of the things that shocked me, like I wrote in lots of people wrote in proposals, and everyone did. And basically, somebody gets on the school board should get on the school board because they have merit to help the education system.
Right.
Not for any other reason.
Yeah.
And yes, yes, there are some. You need some things like harmony of like, if depending on the races of your school, you need to make sure that those people are represented on that board.
Yeah.
But if a person has to have something that they're bringing to that board, to help the school, otherwise the education system's falling apart. If you're just bringing someone just because they're bringing in an ideology that is an imagination. But when they were having the people were putting, I can't remember what it's called, when people put their view to the government, and I listened to the 4-hour oral presentations that were given to the committee at the government. And the group that came in, the group called Inside Out, which is the group that is going to the schools to teach, or being brought in by the schools.
It's horrendous, isn't it? It's a basically manipulative LGBT inclusion and diversity thing for schools. Is that right?
Yeah. They were doing their submission after everyone had submitted. And what really upset me is one of the MPs who's from the opposition, he asked a question, and his question was, because the MPs that were on the main part of the government, they were all, oh, these people are wonderful. They've come in with their purple hair and they look all naive and innocent, and they've come in to do their talk. But the opposition guy, he asked one really good question. He just, can you tell me what is genders? Because no one seems to genders and sexuality. Can you tell me? And she couldn't tell him. But not only could she, she couldn't tell him. She said, oh, that's a very complex, and it's so complex. Not only could she not tell him, she offered a course. You need to come to one of our courses. In fact, you can come and pay for one of our courses, is her exact word. She mentioned payment to one of our courses. In fact, the whole government should come to one of our courses so we can teach you. We need days to teach you this. And I was like, this is a parliamentary select committee being listened to by these people who are presenting their reasons for or whatever to this proposed bill. And she's offering for a line in the bill, she's offering to pay the government, for the government to pay her, to understand what that line in that bill means. She can't explain it in a couple of words, and she's wanting them to pay her for her course to learn it. And I was like, this is crazy.
It is nuts.
Why the government putting a line in the bill that they don't even know what it means.
But I think that's what's happened everywhere. Like my children's school, they were going to bring somebody in. They're called Gyres, very similar to Inside Out. And I sort of went through this glossary and I said, well, what does this mean? And what does that mean? And actually, the woman was very nice at school, but she said, we don't know. That's why we're getting experts in. And I was like, but if you don't know what it is, why on earth would you allow anybody to teach it to children? If you can't understand it and you say it's complicated and you don't really know. And then when you read the definition that you're given in your teacher's notes, you still don't know. Like, why on earth would you think that this was appropriate to teach to children? It's the world over. I think the only way we take comfort in the fact that what's happening in your country is attempted in my country, is happening in Australia, is happening in Canada, and happening in America. We know that once we crack this particular nut and people understand that it's all lies, and I understand that the person who assaulted me is actually going for trial. I think the case is in July.
Oh, I hope so. I really do.
Well, we've got a shop opening, New Zealand based, where we'll be having flags. So if you want to go along to that, if you want to go along and wave a flag, but also the Party of Women, it's terrible. And,
joined that party, the Party of Women, the New Zealand political.
Well, we're going to have a Party of Women that's it's global. It's going to be everywhere.
Oh, okay.
But I know that what's happened in New Zealand since I went is that a lot of women are now standing up to this, which is really encouraging. You have been my last call, and thank you so much for that call. And I'm going to have
Can I
to.
tell you one other thing?
Go.
To give you a laugh. I'm a bit nervous about telling this because it'll let my little secret out. I printed some of your stickers because I couldn't. I'm a bit nervous about ordering them in New Zealand, but I printed some that looked very similar to you about the definition of women. Stuck it on a toilet stall, and I went in, and it was there. It had survived. Some of them don't, but it had survived, and it had written on there, and not transitioned by a man, from a man, written on there.
How nice.
Someone had taken a pen out and wrote it on there, and it made my day.
It's so funny, isn't it? The whole sticker thing. I try to tell people who've not done stickering, it is an act of rebellion, and it's very exciting. And like you say, if you see the sticker surviving, it's really exciting too. But thank you so much for your call. It's been lovely to talk to you. And enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye. Oh, right. Well, there you go then, people. It is this is the return of TERF Talk. Sorry to the rabid, obsessive, psychotic person who keeps reporting me on YouTube, but it didn't work. We had record numbers watching on Twitter when we did our live, and I'm going to be in Austria and Switzerland next weekend. If you would like to help, the costs are just rising astronomically. It's going to cost about £8,000 to go to Vienna and Geneva. Who knew they were so expensive? If you would like to donate, we would love you to donate. And I will put a nice little thing up in the corner. If you would like to donate to Standing for Women, that would be lovely. Or you can go straight to Standing for Women. There are many ways to do it. Look, if you can support the women who are fighting this on the front line, and even better, if you can become a stickerer and be the billboard and wear the vinyl. Look at that. Oh, and also purchase a green Women in Green Diamante V-neck, which is exquisite, or one of these amazing stickers. Celebrate diversity by silencing women. If you are ordering stickers at the moment, let me just tell you, stickers at the moment, we will get them out as fast as possible. If you just have stickers, pens, and ready-made items in your basket, you will get it quicker. if you want to order one of these incredible t-shirts, whichever one you want to, if you want to order one of these incredible t-shirts, we do hand make them. We hand print them. We put them together here. And so they do take a little bit longer. Anyway, if you can be the billboard, I promise we will win. If you can like, share, and subscribe and amplify this voice, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose.